What's going on? It's your boy Ferris Muthana, and welcome to another special episode of Good Friends, Better Rivals, where we are talking NFL 53-man cut day reactions. The Giants have set their squad up. The Cowboys have set their squad up. People have been cut. People have been put on practice squad. People have been traded and released. Now the dust has settled. People are now submitting their 53-man rosters, and to take us to join me on this journey while we navigate the 53-man rosters of the Giants and the Cowboys, it is none other than my right-hand man, Caleb. Caleb, how are you, my man?
I'm good. Just a lot to talk about. Lot happened last week. Lot happened just shortly after we went off the air.
Yep, it
yeah,
is.
So yeah, I'm definitely ready to get into all this news that came about this past week.
All right. So without further ado,
we'll say one thing right now. How about them Cowboys?
Sound bites are back, baby. Sound bites are back. And this news we're about to drop is kind of sound like a Jerry news. So Jerry, what do you like?
I want me some glory hole.
There it is. So Jerry and the Dallas Cowboys, 30 minutes.
He was definitely trying to get some glory hole.
Yeah, damn right. So 30 minutes after our show ended on last Friday, the Dallas Cowboys sent a 4th-round pick to the San Francisco 49ers for none other than quarterback Trey Lance. Caleb, your initial thoughts on that deal. Like, give me your initial thoughts when you first heard of it, and then give me your thoughts now after a week of digestion. Initially, what did you think?
Well, my first initial thoughts were, why? Huh? What? Like, that don't even make sense. That's how I first feel about it. Because you know, this guy I just don't understand why we did this. You know, we have an established backup quarterback in Cooper Rush. So it doesn't make sense to bring him as a backup. It doesn't make sense to bring him when we had even another quarterback who was going in there, and Will Greer, who goes out there in the last preseason game, has the best game of his life. You know, has like 4 touchdowns in that game. He plays great, probably because he got the news that he was going to be released, and he wanted to put on a good showing for everybody. So he does really well. So that's why it's like, we don't need him. This is unnecessary. Why give up a 4th-round pick? And 4th-round pick doesn't sound like much, but it kind of is, because sometimes you can get really good players in the 4th round. We got Dak in the 4th round. We got Dalton Schultz in the 4th round. We got Tony Pollard in the 4th round. Those picks, at least for the Cowboys, because we draft pretty well, do turn out to. I mean, they don't always turn out great, but I think we got a lot of hits in the 4th round. And to say that we can just get rid of a 4th round for a guy who hasn't played very much, gets hurt a lot. Hasn't really shown that he's very good, honestly. He hasn't shown he's extremely bad, but he hasn't shown anything much at all. To get any type pick is just why it doesn't really make much sense for us. And then for all these people talking about, like, oh, he's any type of threat to Dak Prescott, is just ridiculous. I mean, just utterly stupid. He's not even a threat to Cooper Rush, because Cooper Rush has shown that he's a better quarterback in the NFL than Trey Lance. I mean, he's shown that he has 5 games.
That's because Trey Lance hasn't really played quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't say that you can't say anything about Trey Lance, but you can at least say that Cooper Rush put on film 6 games worth of tape that he went 5-1. I mean, he's won a lot of games. I mean, not a lot of games, but a lot of games for a backup, at least. And Trey Lance hasn't done that. I mean, he hasn't done as much as Cooper Rush has done in this league. So it doesn't. That's why he is no threat to Dak. He won't even be the backup quarterback. Cooper Rush will be the backup quarterback.
Shout out to Ryan. Jerry's world is in an alternate universe with this trade. Shout out to the homie Leo. Shout out to you. So he says, "Hey guys, how you doing, Leo?"
What's up, Dad? So it doesn't. So I don't get it. I don't get trading a 4th-round pick for a 3rd quarterback.
I agree with you, man. I don't understand. I don't get it. And you know what, Caleb, you know me, man. You know what I say, man. You know what the most dangerous word in all the sports is? The most dangerous word in all the sports? Potential. Potential. It's always potential. Everyone wants to, oh, he has potential. Potential this, potential. Yeah, Trey Lance has potential. He has all the physical tools to be a great quarterback, but it wasn't going to happen in San Francisco because, Caleb, I've realized something with Kyle Shanahan and the Shanahans. They're not very good QB developers. They can't develop QBs. They're not very good at that. Have you ever noticed that, Caleb? They don't develop quarterbacks well at all.
Yeah.
They just survive with quarterbacks.
Play well in their system.
Yes, they play well in the system, but I've never seen them get a ball of clay and make them a good quarterback. The quarterbacks that they have just play good in their system in the sense that like when CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins were in their system, they looked good, but they never won anything. They weren't good. They didn't no one cared about them. They looked good because they were doing short passing game. The run game was good, but they weren't good quarterbacks. You ever notice that like when Mike Shanahan won Super Bowls, who was his quarterback? John Elway. John Elway didn't need no development. But also too is when they were in Denver, when Mike Shanahan was winning, guess who the offensive coordinator QB coach was? That people don't talk about a lot. It was Gary Kubiak.
Yes,
It was Gary Kubiak. So Kubiak was in charge of the quarterback and the offense. That's not the running game. Who the hell is Kyle Shanahan? They destroyed Robert Griffin III. Like Robert Griffin III had potential, Caleb. He had everything. He had potential. Everyone was like, look at the potential on RG3. Guess what the Shanahans did to RG3? RG3 is now calling college football games. And he's only 32. He's 32. He's 32 years old. And he's retired. You know what I mean? So me and my little brother, he's a Niners fan. And me and him talk about him like, yeah, man, they're not good developers of the quarterback position. You need to give them an already made thing. You need to give them an already made thing, like Jimmy Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers. That's why they wanted Aaron Rodgers. An already made thing. You put an already made solution into their system, it just makes them soar. But they can't take clay and make them into something. They can't do that. You couldn't get like that's why I was, they're talking about like, oh, they should have gotten Justin Fields. They should have gotten Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. They couldn't develop them. They weren't. Where do you think the development was going to come from? Because me and my brother, we've come to deduce it because he's a Niners fan. This is coming from a Niners fan. He's telling me this. He's like, I don't trust them developing quarterbacks. Quarterbacks under them, they don't get better. They just stay what they are.
Which doesn't make sense to trade a bunch of picks for a guy who was all potential. He was all potential coming out of college. So why would you even do that in the first place?
Exactly. That's the point. Like the thing is, in a vacuum, that trade looks incredibly stupid now, right? Looks you wasted a lot. But the problem no one's poking at them is because they're winning regardless. So they don't really care. They took a gamble, they swung, they missed, and then they found their starting quarterback in the 7th round. And now no one really, but if you think about it, it was a really dumb trade. Robert Griffin III, speaking of him, he says that's probably the biggest, the biggest worst trade up in all of NFL and all of draft history, right? Which is funny because he was a part of the first dumb trade up in NFL history when Washington went up to 2 to draft him. And guess who was his quarterback and offensive coordinator and head coach in Washington? The Shanahans. It was kind of Robert Griffin III kind of insulting the Shanahans, saying like, see, it was kind of a little vendetta. It's fine. I'm cool with it. It was a little vendetta. But the reason no one's really on their head about the trade is because they were making playoffs with him. They were making playoffs without him. Brock Purdy looked good. They were going to make the playoffs regardless. So they're like, who cares what the Niners do, because they're gonna make the playoffs anyway. And you're probably right. They probably will make the playoffs, but they don't win the Super Bowl. I don't know. Is Brock Purdy the Super Bowl answer? We'll see. We'll see. Sam Darnold is the backup quarterback. We'll see. So my thing is this: like, was this a Jerry thing? Was this a Will McClay thing?
That's what I'm thinking. That's the only thing. The only thing I can make sense out of it is that Jerry just likes headlines. He likes making a splash. He makes like big moves like this. It's a total Jerry thing. Jerry's decision.
I want me some glory hole.
Exactly. He was looking for some glory hole. He thinks maybe he can turn Trey Lance into something. This obviously grabs headlines. And we'll see. We'll see. But honestly, and then end of this, I don't think anything comes of it. Honestly, I don't think he ever sees the field. I don't think he ever, is the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys or anything like that. I think he just plays his 2 years here and he moves on, and maybe he finds another team. Maybe he doesn't. But ultimately, I don't really think anything really comes of this trade.
You know what's crazy, Caleb? If this was a 4th round pick, right? It was a 4th round pick. There's a team I thought could have traded for him and kind of reset their system. Why didn't Atlanta throw him a 4th round pick?
Yeah.
If I was Atlanta, I'm like, hey, you want a 4th? Here's a 4th. You have him, then you have the young receivers, you have the running back group. Desmond Ridder is his competition. Him and Desmond fight out. Why didn't Atlanta throw a 4th round pick for him? That's what I was
thinking them or Washington.
Washington. Oh, Tennessee? No. Tennessee is too many young quarterbacks. Tennessee, they have 2 already. Yeah, and Malik Willis.
Yeah.
So Atlanta, Washington. Who else? I'm not. I think those are the only 2 teams where I'm like, the competition could have been there. Arizona, but they have Kyler Murray. So they're like not going to trade Trey Lance. Philly wasn't going to trade for him. Giants weren't going to do it.
And I get,
Baltimore,
I get the Cowboys
Pittsburgh. 4th, what's up?
Yeah, I get the Cowboys trading a 4th round pick because that's usually where we take kind of chances on quarterbacks. We did it with a 4th round pick and Stephen McGee, and then we did it again with Dak Prescott. Kind of just when we're drafting, we usually take those backup quarterbacks in the draft in the 4th round. So I get them taking a chance with a 4th round pick and see if he can become something. I get that part, but it's just he's just not going to play. He hasn't shown that he can play. He hasn't shown anything. So I just don't understand why you would even think he can play. If the 49ers are trading him away for even less than that because other teams were offering 5th round picks, then why would you even think, if they're seeing him every day, why would you even think he's going to be anything here? That's what I don't get. Like, why even take the chance of on a guy that the team that traded a bunch of picks for him doesn't even believe in him anymore. So it's just like, why?
All right, now Caleb, let's dovetail into the cut days for the Dallas Cowboys. So Trey Lance is definitely going to take one of the 53-man roster spots. So you guys are going to carry 3 quarterbacks. You guys traded Kelvin Joseph for cornerback Noah Igbinoghene. I think I got that.
Igbinoghene.
Man, it's like the Osa Odigizua all over again, isn't it?
Well, that one's easier. Osa Odigizua.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah. Well, you also made some other. Yeah. Well, you also made some other maneuvers. You guys put Ronald Jones on the reserve suspended list, the reserved injury list, which is IR, which is kind of like they're done for the season. Josh Bell, he's done for the season. DeMarvin Overshown, we talked about it last week. He's done for the season. Tight end John Stevens Jr. done for the season. We talked about him as well as wide receiver David Duran. He's also done for the season. And now to the the waves and the cuts. Some of these players are back on your practice squad, but they were initially cut. Let's start the bottom up. Tyrus Wheat, Alex Taylor Pialoli, Trent Sieg, he got re-signed because maneuvers and you got to move stuff around, so they release him and then they sign him back because they needed the roster spot. Shedrick Redwine, oh my God, that's where he went. Oh, that's where he went. Okay, he got cut. Jalen Moreno Cropper, the former Fresno State wide receiver. I know him quite intimately because of my family. He was cut. Tight end Sean McCain was cut. Cornerback D'Angelo Mendel was cut. Offensive lineman Alec Lindstrom was cut, and linebacker Isaiah Land was cut. Isaiah Land, huh? Oh, that's the Florida. Yeah, Isaiah Land. Oh, he went to the. Okay, I didn't know he was on your team. That's where he went. Okay,
Yeah,
Caleb. From the people who were cut.
We'll start with that one. Isaiah Land. He was looking really good all through training camp. Even in the preseason games, I thought he had a lot of potential. Like, he was looking good. But on that, we're not keeping a lot of that defensive line is kind of stacked there. We had to make a lot of tough decisions there, so I get why they couldn't keep him. He's already gone. It even shows how good he was playing because another team signed him onto their team. That was a guy that was looking good, and then obviously other teams recognized that he was looking pretty good as well. That was a big surprise that we let him go there. Another big surprise was Jabril Cox. He was that mid-round pick, 4th-round pick that could have gone higher. At least that's what they said. And he was looking good his first year, his rookie year, until he got hurt. Didn't look good in his sophomore season because he was recovering from that injury, and he was starting to look okay. He's getting back to it this season. At least it looked like it. But I guess they weren't. I guess he didn't show enough for them to want to keep him around. So that was a big surprise cut for the Cowboys as well.
Simi Fehoko was also cut. What do you think about that?
Obviously he's been here for a while. He's been 2-3 years on the team and hasn't really made that push to make the starting roster. So, I guess he just, kind of aged out of, of kind of the roster that taken up and going with the younger guy in Jalen Brooks, who was a draft pick this year. And we'll probably do it the whole cycle over and see if he can make a push as we did with giving him all the chances that Fehoko got. He's just a younger guy to do basically what Fehoko did with us during his time here. And then a big one was a big surprise was Hunter Lipke made the team. He was a fullback / running back, and he made the team. Honestly, I think it was because of the last preseason game we had. He took the lead, and as the lead back there, he led the team in the rushing yards. And he looked pretty good. He looked tough, powerful, and that's what we were missing. That's what we're lacking because a lot of the other running backs that we have are not, they're not big guys. They're not the big body guys that we had with Ezekiel Elliott. So I think they were looking for that type of body style of a running back, and I think they got that in Hunter Lipke, and that's what I think that impressed them of how well he was playing. And then we go with another surprise. We go with Rico Dowdle as our RB2 now over Malik Davis. I thought going into the preseason, I thought we would go with Malik Davis, seeing that last year. He showed he was playing pretty good in regular season, real games. They had him when Paulo was out or Zeke was out. Malik Davis got snaps in with the starters in real games, and he looked pretty good. So it's surprising that he got settled into the practice squad, and Rico Dowdle got the nod to be RB2. going into week 1. Which I don't mind. I mean, I think Dowdle has shown that he was really good, but he's shown it in preseason games. He hasn't shown it in a real game yet, like Malik Davis has. But obviously, they think that Dowdle has more upside than Malik Davis. So I guess I trust them on that because I can see what they were looking at there with Dowdle because when he shows flashes, he looks really good. So that one's fair. Another surprise cut with guys on the practice squad now with Sean McKeon. I was surprised they went with 3 tight ends. I thought we would go 4, especially with Phillips getting hurt. I thought we would go 4 and McKeon would get that spot, but he's relegated to practice squad as well. He's been on the roster. Yeah,
I was about to say, let's go through the 50-man position by position. You have 3 quarterbacks: Prescott, Rush, Lance. You already brought up the running backs. You got Pollard, Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, and fullback Hunter Lipke. And then receivers, you guys are carrying 6: CD, Brandon, Gallup, Tolbert, Turpin, and Jalen Brooks. Jalen Brooks, you said, took Simi Fajoko's spot. So we'll see if Jalen Brooks does better than Simi Fajoko. And then right now you're talking about tight ends. You got Ferguson, Hendershot, Shoemaker, Sean McKeon, like you said earlier, was put on the practice squad. Offensive line, Tyron Smith, Tyler Biotish, Zach Martin. Y'all really love the T names and the Tylers. It's kind of Terrence Steele, Matt Voltko. He's going to be placed on IR, so he's going to miss the first 4 games.
Let's go.
Whatever. I don't know how to say that on him. Well, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, well, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Asim Richards and TJ Bass. Chuma
awesome
Edoga.
Richards.
Awesome? It's awesome?
Yeah, that's how he says it. He says it awesome.
Okay. All right. Awesome Richards. Okay. Chuma Edoga was cut on Tuesday, but will be brought back on the roster when they place Josh Bell on IR. He's done for the year. So it's a little roster gymnastics. So Chuma's a part of that group. Defensive ends: Parsons, Lawrence, Armstrong, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, Mr. 66, Dante Fowler. And then D tackle, we got Mozzie Smith, the 1st-round pick, Jonathan Hankins, the acquisition last year, Osa Adigizua, Junior Fajoko, Chauncey Golston, and Neville Gallimore. Apparently Neville Gallimore was intentionally left off by mistake. I don't know why, but that's a little weird. Linebackers, we got Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, Devin Harper, and Marquise Bell. Caleb, Devin Harper and Marquise Bell. I didn't really hear their names a lot. Were you big fans of them? Did they outplay? Did one of these players make the roster because DeMarvin Overshown had his ACL tear?
Oh, definitely. I do believe that that's the case. Devin Harper, he showed up a lot in the last game.
Whose case?
I think for both of them, honestly, because Devin Harper, for one, he probably would have been relegated to the practice squad, given DeMarvin didn't get hurt. He did show up a lot in the last preseason. He was playing really well in the last preseason game, but it is the only game that I saw that he really showed up in. He didn't really, I don't think he really did anything in the previous games. But then Marquise Bell got that position because he's a safety. He was a safety last year. So they put him at linebacker because I think he was that kind of spot of DeMarvin Overshown, because that's kind of how he wanted to play Overshown at, is that safety linebacker type of player. I think Marquise Bell is kind of that replacement for Overshown in that type of way we're going to play him. So that's and going back to the offensive line real quick. TJ Bass, this guy definitely played his way onto the roster. Didn't know much about him at all. I think he was an undrafted guy that made the team, one of the only couple of the only undrafted guys to make the team. He played great. He was, he's part of the offensive line. That is the reason why Greer played so well in that last preseason game. The offensive line was great. They gave Greer a ton of time to throw the ball. That's why he was just kind of picking the Raiders defense apart, because that back off the line was giving him a lot of time. and TJ Bass was a part of that group that was doing really well out there. I mean, him, Austin Richards, they got on this team because they were playing really, really well at off line. That's why the running backs were doing well. That's why the offense were scoring so many points, because it was off the line. I was like, wow. I mean, this got some little bit of depth here at certain spots. Not so much as center. I don't think we even have a backup center. I think we have like guards and tackles. I don't know who's playing center if he goes down. But yeah, so the line was doing pretty good. But yeah, you go into the secondary now.
By the way, TJ Bass, Oregon Duck offensive lineman, TJ Bass. Cornerbacks, we got the usual suspects: Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, Deron Bland, Jordan Lewis, who will be activated off of PUP. Noah, whose name I just said, and I won't say it again. He's on the roster because he was traded for Kelvin Joseph with the Miami Dolphins. I don't know why the Miami Dolphins did that, but it is what it is. Eric Scott Jr. and Nashawn Wright. Nashawn Wright will be put on temporary IR. He'll miss 4 weeks, and he can be activated a little bit later. And then safeties, we got Donovan Wilson, Jerron Kearse, Malik Hooker. I mean, then Israel Mukwamu, and right here, Juan A. Thomas. I was about to say, how do you say that name? It's Juan A. Thomas.
Juan A. Thomas.
He made his way. Was Juan A. Thomas? He's an undrafted too, right?
Yeah, he was last year though. He was on the team last.
Okay, last year. That's what I thought. All right, then the specialists, the position that the Cowboys fans have been haunted for years, for the past couple years. Kicker, Brandon Aubrey makes the team, and punter, Brian Anger. Brandon Aubrey, Caleb, give me your thoughts on your new kicker, Brandon Aubrey.
He made a hell of a kick the last preseason game. It was like 56 yards. He missed it at first, but then he had another chance. And he hit it. So he's got a leg. He's got a lot of leg there. But it's just going to be the accuracy and how consistent he is. That's where Brett Maher struggled. I mean, he was pretty consistent throughout the season. It was just what happened at the end, because Brett Maher also had a leg, and but then that accuracy went out the window during the playoffs. So as long as he can stay consistent, at least the guy can kick pretty far. So that at least that's a plus for him. And right. Into the going back to the trade with Kelvin Joseph and the game we can't say. Did you hear about this guy at all? If he was a first round pick. You know anything about him? I
know about him. I knew he was in Miami. I knew he was. So here's the thing: in Miami, he was the corner on the other side of Xavier Howard, and Xavier Howard took all the spotlight because it's Xavier Howard. He's one of the best corners in the game. I think he's a solid corner. He's good in my opinion. Of the games that I've watched a couple Miami games. I have never said what the hell are you doing to him. So that means he didn't make a lot of mistakes. So there's that. I don't really know much about him. From what I've seen, he's solid. But the thing is, Caleb, I don't think he started in Miami the past couple. I just think he showed up on occasion. Because now they got Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. But in this case, it's kind of like,
you got Byron Jones over there?
No, Byron Jones is done. He's done. He doesn't play anymore. Yeah, he's kind of retired. He's cornerback 4 or 5, because it depends on how healthy Jordan Lewis is. So Noah isn't the first corner you bring off the bench. If you guys are gonna go nickel, it's gonna be Diggs, Gilmore, Bland. That's what it is. He's kind of like a depth piece. So either you can only go up from Kelvin Joseph. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, Kelvin Joseph was, just a pretty bad pick and for the second round. He just never got going at the cornerback position. He was relegated to being basically just a special team player. He was starting to get really good at that. But he was just a penalty machine. Like he would just get so many penalties out there, even when he was playing special teams. He was always holding or something, always something. That was always a flag. And then he just became, he got in trouble. Like what was it last off? I don't know if it was last off season. He got a little bit of trouble. And I just think they were just done with the headache and shipped him off. Because he just wasn't producing to the level that we thought he was going to when we picked him in the second round. I think the Dolphins in the same way. I don't think Noah also had the production that they were expecting for a player that they took in the first round.
Yeah.
So
also too, he wasn't. He was one of Chris Greer's guys. He wasn't the coach's guy, but he was a Chris Greer guy because Chris Greer is still there. But honestly, like I'm seeing this Miami room, I'm like, if they're okay with keeping Eli Apple over you, that means you're not good. That means you're not good. If Miami was like, you know what, we're gonna keep Eli Apple over you, you're not even good. Like they basically said, you're not even good enough to be our cornerback 4. Well, we don't want you. Either they don't want him and he's not good, or they just don't like him anymore, and they're just kind of get rid of him.
Yeah, I think that's the similar thing with Kelvin Joseph. I just don't think we want him anymore. Just ship him away. And I think they're both players are pretty similar in that way, that they just didn't get what they thought they were going to get out of these players. And so maybe a new change of scenery is going to help them. So that's Noah, the best we can hope for him.
So Noah has played in 32 games. He started 5, recorded an interception, 5 pass defenses, 29 tackles. So there's that. I know. Let me just double check his stats. I want to make sure, because I want to make sure not to be disrespectful. Yeah. So he has 5 career starts, 32 games. Oh, I think I know why they traded him. I think I know why.
Why is that?
He only played. He played in 16 games his first year. In his next 2 years, he played in 7 and 9 games. He has 25 solo tackles, 29 combined, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 pass defenses, and interceptions. He has 1 interception, which came last year. Yeah, it's kind of like, we've given up, just send him somewhere else to see if he's good or not.
And that sounds very little, and that's still better stats than Kelvin Joseph ever had with us.
Yeah. So you're probably going to get an upgrade. But it's kind of weird me to see any cornerback that was chosen, any quarterback that they chose Eli Apple over as an upgrade, that kind of throw me off. But it is what it is. And now in last Cowboy news, Trent Siegel, like I said earlier, and CJ Goodwin were cut on Tuesday, but will be back on the team after some roster gymnastics. This is what they do. They cut you, they tell you to wait. Yeah, they tell you to wait, and then they put some guy on IR, and then they bring you back. It happens all the time. Your practice squad is this in Dallas. Malik Davis, like we talked about. Sean Macon, Jalen Cropper is back. Earl Bostic, Tyron Johnson, Brock Hoffman, Malik Davis, CJ Goodwin. Like I said, he'll be back. Shedrick Redwine, shout out to you, Redwine. Josh Butler, Tyrus Wheat, Princeton Font, Darrell Johnson, and Alex Taylor Pialau. He's there. You guys did have Willington Pevel, defensive tackle. The Bucks took him, and you guys also had Sean Harlow, who's an offensive lineman. The Giants took him, so you guys did lose those 2 guys as well. Isaiah Land, we said, is a Colt, and I believe Jabril Cox is somewhere else. I don't know. Washington Commander. There he is. Now. All right, he's an enemy. Yeah. But, without further ado, those are the Cowboys 50-man roster and the practice squad and who they're cut. Now we're moving on to
all hail the New York Giants.
I held the New York Giants. The New York Giants, they also cut a bunch of people and traded a bunch of people. And all the cuts that happened, I kind of saw coming. James Robinson, he was getting cut. I knew it right away. Tommy DeVito.
That was a shame.
Tommy DeVito was cut. Colin Johnson was him being cut didn't really surprise me because one, Isaiah
the Longhorn.
Yeah, they cut him. The reason it didn't shock me is because Isaiah Hodgins took his role. Last year he tore his Achilles. He was going to be the Isaiah Hodgins role. Everyone.
He was going to start, right?
He was going to start. He was going to start his preseason. Yeah. He was looking good, and then he tore his Achilles. And then Hodgins took his role.
Well, that just shows you how bad your receiving core was last year.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And Isaiah Hodgins took his role, so he was on the back burner fighting. And then he got injured in his first game, so they couldn't really watch him in the Detroit game. So he was gonna get cut. Jashaun Corbin, the reason he was cut is not because he's not better than the running backs we have, is that he didn't provide any special team benefit. Because the running back that we're going to use is going to be Saquon and Breida. They're going to be used the most. And if you had no special team benefit, you're not going to be kept. That's why Gary Brightwell and Eric Gray were kept. They were punt returners and had some special team moments that they really liked, so they kept them over Jashaun Corbin. Khalil Pimpleton, he was getting cut. Tyree Phillips, I think they should have kept Tyree Phillips because our offensive line is not good, so more bodies. Jack Anderson was cut because he was injured. They cut him. Wyatt Davis, they cut. And imagine being told that the Giants, who have shit guards, you're not good enough to be their guard, and that's pretty wild. Ryder Anderson, who was an undrafted rookie free agent last year that we were high on, they cut him. I have to double check if they moved some of these guys to the practice squad. We'll double check that later. Kobe Smith, they cut. This linebacker, Baldiando, was cut. Tommen Fox was cut, but they put him on the practice squad. They're big fans. Wing Martindale's a big fan of Tommen Fox. Ray Wilborn and Dante Johnson were cut. Darian Beavers was cut because here's the thing about Darian Beavers. He's essentially a rookie. Last year, he tore his ACL in the first preseason game. He had no offseason, he had no camp, no nothing. So they cut him. So this year, it's basically his first year. And he's a rookie. He's on the back burner. He wasn't going to win the inside linebacker spot. It was going to be between Michael McFadden, or in this case, Michael McFadden and Isaiah Simmons. So there's that. So they cut him, but then they moved him to the practice squad for more rehab, more learning, more knowledge. Personally, me, in the draft, I really wanted them to draft Ivan Pace Jr., the other Cincinnati linebacker. That would have been awesome as well, but they didn't. Kevin Akers and Donovan Jeter were cut. I think the defensive tackle room is solid, is compact. Got Nacho, got Ashawn, Leonard, and Dexter Lawrence. So that's good. The corners that were Jermon Green, Darian Evans, Zion Gilbert, Alex Cook, long snapper, Cameron, they didn't really matter. Zion Gilbert, it kind of shocked me because Zion Gilbert actually started a couple games last year, but it is what it is. A couple of terminations, Jadon Mickens, Jameson Crowder, Cole Beasley, they terminated them, but they're moving some vested interest. They're putting some of these people on the practice squad. Injuries, Bryce Ford Wheaton, he tore his ACL. Chris Myrick broke his hand, so they're on IR. Tommy Sweeney had a cardiac event in practice once. I think last week. So they put him on the reserve non-football list. So we'll see if he comes back. And now the full practice squad, like I said, they put Ryder Anderson on the practice squad, Darian Beavers, Alex Cook, Tommy DeVito is now on the practice squad. Don Bosco's own Tommy DeVito, Dante Johnson and was brought back, put on the practice squad. Cole Beasley was cut and he was brought back on the practice squad. O'Shane Zimenez was cut. He was brought back. Tommen Fox, like I said, Jalen Mayfield and Jalen Thomas were linemen that we brought on. So there's that. Ryan Jones, I don't really know much about the guy. Caleb Hayes as well. we signed Tawan Jones. Tawan Jones, that man, I can't believe that man's still playing football. So shout out to Tawan Jones. And we took two players off of our rivals teams to join our team. We took Tyree Jackson, tight end out of Philly. We convinced them to come over, and we took Dennis Houston, receiver from the Cowboys. We convinced him to join our practice squad. Yeah,
started
so there's that.
Like the first 2 weeks last year.
So there's that. I wasn't really surprised on the people we cut. Nothing really surprised me because I kind of got it, and I kind of saw like, yeah, this guy's not going to make it. This guy's not going to make it. I didn't really have a lot of questions on it because kind of like it was kind of like the run of the mill. We tried to get offensive linemen.
Wasn't any surprises to you?
Not really. The people who were cut didn't really surprise me. Cole Beasley and Jamison Crowder didn't really surprise me. I think, Beasley was going to be kind of used as kind of like a receiver coach. Like you were in the system, teach these players in the system, teach them how to operate the system. You're one of the best slot receivers in the game. You had a lot of good options. Yeah, he's a day ball guy. He's a Joe Shane guy, so that makes sense. But we did trade for Boogie Basham. He was a Bill. He was drafted in the regime of Joe Shane. Joe Shane was a part of the regime that drafted him. And now the full roster, the Giants, this is the roster they've settled. 2 quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, 4 running backs, Saquon, Matt Breida, Gary Brightwell, and Eric Gregg. Eric Gregg and Gary Brightwell bring some special team aspect. So that's why they were still on the squad. 6 receivers. They're only going with 6 receivers. Isaiah Hodgins, Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shepard, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson made this team. A couple people were cut because I think Cole Beasley was. No. Cole Beasley was cut, or Jameson Crowder was cut, so they could activate Wan'Dale Robinson on the active roster. But then they brought back Cole Beasley, so kind of like if Wan'Dale still isn't fully healthy, they can bring Cole Beasley in. So that wasn't really kind of like a big thing. Tight ends, we have 3 tight ends. Darren Waller, Daniel Bellinger, and Lawrence Cager. Lawrence Cager making the team. I'm surprised by it. I liked him, but I think he was gonna make the team when Chris Myrick hurt his hand and Tommy Sweeney had that event. So they wanted to keep a third tight end, and they brought in Lawrence Cager. So like that makes sense. He made the team. Offensive lineman, we have 9, and it's slim pickings from the offensive lineman. Caleb, Matt Pert shouldn't be on this team. I watched him against the 2s and the 3s in the Detroit game and the Jets game and all the games. He's not a good lineman. He's not a good left tackle. He's not a good right tackle. He's not a good lineman. Jermaine Johnson took his lunch. He took his lunch. And if you can't handle second, I know Jermaine Johnson's probably like a starting defensive end on any other team not named the Jets, right? Because of the depth they have. But you couldn't even provide any resistance. You didn't give no resistance. You get nothing. You just got beat down. And then you were committing holds. He's not a very good tackle. So that's why I think we should have kept Tyree Phillips. Because what's the difference in him? I think Tyree Phillips is a little bit more versatile, and he's a little bit better than Matt Pert. I don't know why Matt Pert's there. I am happy to see our 2 North Carolina kids make the team. Marcus McCathan, he tore his ACL last year, so he's on a pitch count. He's been on a pitch count for a while. He's a depth piece. Him and Joshua Zudu probably going to play guard or tackle. Shane Lemieux makes the team, and that's how our starting guards are Ben Bredesen, Mark Glowinski, it's Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas, Ben Bredesen, John Michael Schmitz, Lewinsky, Evan Neal. Then you have all the backups of Azudu, Lemieux, Pert, McCathan. So McCathan and Pert are going to be like offensive tackle backups. And when McCathan's still playing, can also play guard as well. So there's that. Our defensive line, like I said, we had good depth. We didn't need a lot of people. I think a person who kind of played their way onto the team was 7th round pick Jordan Riley. Jordan Riley had a great preseason. He's a massive man. He's just a human. He's just a mountain, Caleb. He's a defensive tackle that's gonna just sit in the gaps, take on two blockers, and just sit there and be like, you can't push me, I can't push you. It's a stalemate kind of defensive tackles. So there's that. Then we have Nacho, Ashawn Robinson, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams, and DJ Davis. So that makes sense. Edge and linebackers, Kayvon Aziz, guarantees. Isaiah Simmons, the player we traded a 7th round pick for, and I'm a big fan of this man. He's gonna play next to Bobby Okereke, where he's gonna roam, and Okereke just gonna stay there and just kind of provide support, and he's gonna go on blitzes, and he actually was an edge rusher for one of the plays against Aaron Rodgers where he almost got a sack, but he couldn't wrap up Aaron Rodgers. So you got to make sure to finish that. Bobby Okereke makes sense. Jihad Ward makes sense if you listen to Wink Martindale, where he says, as long as Jihad Ward's playing football, he'll always have a job because that's my guy. It makes sense. Micah McFadden and Carter Calhoun and Cam Brown. Carter Calhoun and Cam Brown make this team because they're good special teamers. They're phenomenal special teamers. Well, phenomenal is a lot. They're special. They have special team versatility to them. And then is Boogie Basham, the trade. He's not on the roster, but on the list, but Boogie Basham as well. A cornerback is it's something. It's something. We're not like you, where you have trust in all the players you have. Me, the problem is, our 2 starting corners are rookies. They're rookies. I can't say if they're good or not because they haven't played NFL football ever. So we'll see if Deontay Tate.
Well, how do they look? Well, at least what you have seen. How do they look?
They look pretty good. Trey and Tay and Trey, whatever they want to go by, they've been pretty damn good. Adoree Jackson saying, "Yo, I'll play slot. It's cool with me. I'll play slot. I'm cool with it. Shout out to you, Jay. What's good? Like he's like, I'll play slot. I'm cool with that. Darnay Holmes, man, that man is a grabby. He grabs all the time. And what I like about Darnay Holmes, he goes to the Richard Sherman School of DBing. They're not going to call holding all the time, right? So I may get away with one here and there, but the risk is not worth the reward. Cordell Flott and Nick McLeod make it. Nick McLeod didn't really play a lot. He was injured. Cordell Flott, I'm not going to give up on him. He was the youngest player in the NFL last year, Caleb. Like, imagine that. Not just the youngest player on the Giants or the youngest player in the NFC. He was the youngest player in the entire NFL. The entire NFL. Like, imagine that. That's insanity. So I'm not going to give up on him. He still needs to put on some weight. He's a little too skinny for my liking. He needs to get into a proper weight program. And I have high hopes for him. Our safeties, we have 5 safeties, bro. We got 5 safeties. And so it's going to be X McKinney in
any of them good.
Xavier McKinney, Dane Belton, and Jason Pinnock. I like them. They're pretty damn good. I like them. Dane Belton came on late where he was forcing turnovers, getting interceptions. Him and Jason Pinnock, they had noses for the ball. They wanted the ball and they went out and got the ball. Xavier McKinney was being cryptic on social media earlier a couple weeks where he's like, man, tired of doing this with no appreciation or something like that. So I'm scared that, he's, he wants that contract, but Joe Shane ain't trying to give him to him yet. So we'll see. Bobby McCain made the team, as well as Javarius Owens, the rookie. Javarius Owens, when I watched him play preseason, he was kind of Wink Martindale's heat-seeking missile. He was going on the blitzes. He was hitting people. He was just running people down. So there's that. So him and Bobby probably gonna be also Owens also plays some special teams. So he was good on special teams. And then special teams, our punter is meh, and our long snapper is good. I like Casey Crater, but our best offensive weapon, second best offensive weapon, our kicker, Graham Gano. Graham Gano looking like he's in mid-season form, hitting a couple of long field goals against the Jets. I think one of them was like 52 yards. Graham being Graham. It is what it is. And then our practice squad, we already went through it, but that's pretty much it. No surprises really on my end, and I'm kind of happy with the team that we came here with, and Nothing really much, man. I'm kind of happy what's going on right now. Any other thoughts, Caleb?
Well, I don't know. Are you happy with that? I don't think you're happy with that whole line.
I'm not happy with the O-line. I'm never happy with the O-line ever, bro. That shit is garbo. It's not very good at all. Yep, Graham Gano still the GOAT. You damn right he is. Graham Gano, don't you know? Mr. Gano. Yeah, man. We have one good offensive lineman. One good offensive lineman. I can't say John Michael Schmitz is good, and I can't say Evan Neal's good because John Michael Schmitz is a rookie. Okay? So I don't count rookies. Rookies don't count in my eyes. Evan Neal had a bad year last year. He's not good yet. We have an all-pro left tackle. He's the third best or fourth best left tackle in the game. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this to blow smoke up his butt. I'm talking about like Duke Manyweather and Andrew Whitworth and Brandon Thorne say he's a top 5 left tackle. They had him 4th on their list behind, I think, Trent Williams, Laramie Tunsil, and someone else and him, or I think he was 3rd. It was either he was 3 or 4, but he's a top 5 left tackle. We have one good offensive lineman. If we want this offense to click and move and groove and, make sure our timing is correct, our offensive line needs to get better. We need them to get better as a collective unit. I'm hoping that our guards I'm hoping our center, John Michael Schmitz, basically takes over that line and makes them all cohesive units, especially the 2 guards, because they're the closest to him. So he needs to make sure they're good, because he can't really do much on the tackle side, but it's the guards he can really influence. So I'm really hoping on that. So yeah.
You think they're gonna make any moves before week 1?
No, I think we're pretty set.
Any veterans?
We made it. I don't know. It depends on who gets cut, who gets released, who wants to be gone. It depends on the players, but we'll see it when we get it. Yeah, we'll see it when we get it.
Maybe I missed it. Go ahead and answer this question.
Oh no, so yeah, Jay says Evan Neal and Icky are in the same boat as far as hoping they have a better second year. You're correct, Mr. J.
Yeah.
What's up, Caleb? What's your question?
Yeah, I missed who was RB2.
RB2 is Matt Breida. He's Matt Breida. It's Matt Breida. He's one of Dayball's guys from Buffalo. Yeah, he's Dayball's guy from Buffalo. Change of pace. I didn't really see Matt Breida play a lot in the preseason. It was a lot of Eric Gray, James Robinson. So they kind of didn't play their top 2 running backs, really. Saquon didn't play at all. Matt Breida, didn't really see him. It was just a trio of Corbin, James Robinson, and Eric Gray. And Gary Bradwell and Eric Gray made the team. So there's that. All right. Yeah, see, Jerry Jones was quick to pay Zach Martin his money. LOL. You're damn right he was. When he was
absolutely, because it wasn't looking good when he was out there with the guards that they were trying to place him with early on. So yeah, he was like, yeah, it's not gonna work. We better get that man in camp, and so that's what we did. But like we said, he didn't reset the market. He's not the highest paid guard. We
gave him a little bit more money.
Gave him a little more money. So I mean, I think that wasn't too bad of a deal.
Yeah. All right. Nothing really much going on. All right, that's pretty much our show. I thank you guys so much for showing up. This fly is annoying me. Get out of here. But on that note, Caleb, where can people find you, my man?
You can find me at NFL Caleb 22 on Instagram and X, and you can find me on this channel in in a couple hours, I guess, doing France football show. And then you can find me also on Wednesdays at 8:00 with my co-host D Weezy. And I'm betting the NFL, and all we try to do on that show is make you guys money. So if you guys like make money, tune in for that show on Wednesday at 8:00, and we'll tell you how to win some money betting on some NFL games all throughout the season. Every week we'll pick 5 of our best bets of the week, and we'll give our advice, and we'll make our picks, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully that wins you guys money. Whether you fade us, whether you go with us, as long as you're making money, That's the goal of the show.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, guys. Just like Caleb said, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. It is the second annual LGRN Fantasy Football League Draft. I will be hosting it. We have a couple people showing up. We're gonna do a little different here. We're gonna take a little protocols where where you're gonna tell me in the private. We all, if y'all watch 5 o'clock, watch it and you'll see the difference. I'm here every Friday 3 o'clock Pacific. Good Friends, Better Rivals, as well as 8 o'clock. Well, tonight's going to be 8:30 because of the fantasy football draft. It's probably going to take about 3 hours. Tonight, 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern is the open table. Me and Adelia. It's just me and her. We're doing casual Friday. We're just chilling and talking about us and life and sports and whatever, man. We're just gonna roam. We're gonna roam through the universe. So make sure to check that out tonight. You can find me at Ferris Muthana on X. I'm at _Ferris_Muthana on Instagram. If y'all want to follow me there, I'm gonna start using it more. Maybe we'll see. And my radio show is gonna coming back. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But without further ado, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see y'all next time. Stay cool with us. Yeah.